Okay, it's the 220th episode of the Mina's House podcast. I'm Mina SayWhat.
I'm Garnett Briscoe.
Stuckey.
Look, we made it. We've had a rough couple of weeks. Last week, we all was going through something. So it is a new week. And we have not talked about this on the pod, but I made my big announcement on my birthday that I am pregnant.
Yay.
Yes.
Congrats.
Congratulations.
Thanks. It's my first baby, so it's a lot of adjusting. This room that I actually do all my work in, half of it is going to become the baby's room.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're going to move eventually into a new space.
Mm-hmm.
But as Garnett knows, because he's a real estate agent, the housing market right now is ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's so crazy though, because it's like that just shows like your growth. Like, they say like, when you expand your family, things change, and you've been in that room, like that's just been like a side like room for you to do your stuff, and that's really exciting. Now I gotta say, Mina, people always say like, who's the most famous person that you know, whatever. You may be the most famous person that I know, and the reason I say that is because when you made your announcement, like you did it as a birthday post too. So I went to go write happy birthday, congratulations, right? So I clicked the picture to go make a comment. It was nothing but blue check marks in your mentions. Blue check marks, blue checks. I said, well, goddamn.
I mean, I don't really consider myself famous. I just have a public job,
Yeah, but a lot of people have public jobs and people don't care about them. I'm saying blue check marks, all like I was like, dang, it's nothing but blue in here. Like that was
so
crazy.
Question, because everybody I know, have a child, and I could be wrong, maybe I just don't know enough people. But the baby room is usually just like for show. The baby always sleep in bed with the parents. So like, what's your plans?
And I'm not having no baby sleep in the bed with me. I don't know what people do.
That's
My
what they
dog don't
say.
sleep in the bed. No, the bed is for myself and my partner. We had to come up with a plan because, again, his house, my house, none of the houses are adequate for a child. So it's like he's gonna have to rent his place out. And there's no way I was moving to Philly. I live in New Jersey. So his house is in Jersey. There's no way I'm moving over there. I'm sorry. Okay. My house is right by the water. We got a pool. We got a tennis court. You know what I'm saying? It's nice. I got squirrels and, occasionally we have a fox. We have bunnies.
Slow down. Listen, squirrels are terrorists. I'm like that right now. Squirrel, they're terrorists. They're just as bad as some of the people in Philly. It's like right now.
Look, we got deer over here. I saw a turkey one day. I'm not moving from here. Okay. So, yeah, we just decided because of the housing market that we were going to wait. And the plan for the baby is we'll have a little bassinet in our room. I already have I've already started like trying to rearrange the house to make it work.
Yeah.
And just like throwing clothes out, donating it to Salvation Army, putting stuff in the attic, packing stuff up. We're going to have a little bassinet in the room until the baby's maybe 1.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to move the baby into this room temporarily until we find a home. Maybe we'll find a home before we have to move the baby into the, a bigger room. But the housing market right now is terrible. Like houses have doubled in prices. If you're selling a house, it's wonderful. But if you're buying a house, it's not so good.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just going to stay in this house until everything gets better.
And Dex, I know you saw what I saw too, so we're gonna touch on this. How, like, she went to Greece to go drop the photos, though. Are you kidding?
Went to Greece. I'm telling you, Mina's the most famous person that I know. And Mina, you don't even come across extra. That was extra. Like that was like, well,
listen. Brianna is the famous one. She did her photo shoot in Harlem, like
under a bridge.
Went to Greece.
You ate Rihanna up.
Yeah, that's right.
No, we had the Greece trip planned already. And the crazy part was I was literally sick for the first 4 months. People are like, why did you wait so long? It's because I couldn't even wrap my head around I'm pregnant.
Right.
I was so busy being sick. Like, and I got 3 jobs. Y'all know that, right?
Yeah,
I'm on air at 2 shows daily, and then I write for the Philadelphia Tribune, and then I have the podcast. I have a digital sports show. So like the first 4 months, I was literally just trying to balance my life, literally throwing up like morning, nighttime. Every time I ate, I would throw up. And it was like, I had not processed that I'm pregnant yet. And it's like, and I'm sick. So it's like, I didn't stop feeling sick until I was like maybe 4 months in. And that's when I had to plan everything. We already had the Greece trip planned. So I felt like when I started to not feel sick, it's like we were rushing everything. Like I already had the Orlando trip planned. I went to Orlando with my mother. That was her birthday present. The Greece trip was supposed to be for my birthday. That's why I went like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that before my birthday. So it was like, we had these things planned already. So it's like, how do we fit what we have to do inside of these things that we already had planned? So we did the gender reveal with my mom's birthday party. So we got that done. And then we did the maternity shoot in Greece. Okay, that's done. So we kind of incorporated it into things that were already going on. And that's why I ended up doing my shoot in Greece.
I loved it though. No explanations needed. That was fire. That you set the bar.
No, right. If any of my future, baby moms see that, like, she went to Greece to do hers. Where you taking me to moon?
I will Photoshop you on the moon.
Right. So
I really enjoyed it though, but it was really windy, and with the dress, sometimes I felt like I was about to fly away.
I mean, I thought y'all had a fan because that was perfect.
No, that was natural wind. That was like at the top of a mountain, Greece wind, and the dress it kind of made it like a parachute.
Right.
So there were moments where I'm like hanging on to him for dear life because I'm about to blow away. And I was like, I don't know how these models do this. Like literally, and then my hair's all over the place. My hair literally went like, there's times where I have it half up, all the way up in a bun. My hair literally changed throughout the whole shoot. We did 3 different locations in Greece. So we went from 3 different towns. We did it in Santorini. So we did it in 3 different towns. My hair literally changed every town that we went to because the weather was just, it's windy there at that time.
I only heard about that town because Rick Ross has a song named after it. Only reason why I know. So,
I mean, it's beautiful. You should go. But that's really how that turned out to be. It was just like, let's fit it, inside of things. Listen, if I wouldn't have went to Greece, I probably would have had mine at Universal Studios. we would have done the maternity shoot at Universal Studios right next to Harry Potter World and Jurassic Park.
So question is, are you guys going to do, I guess, one of those gender reveal parties as well? Like
we did it already just with family. Okay. Like I said, I didn't stop feeling sick until 4 months in. And then it was like, it's crazy how you have to do so many things when you're having a baby, right? Like it's so weird. It's like, you got to plan a maternity shoot. You got to plan a gender reveal. You got to do a baby shower. You got to get the baby's room together. You got to pick a pediatrician. You got to go to the doctor every month. I got to do sonograms. Like, it's like, this is a job. This is a lot.
I love how the doctor appointments are like priority on the same level as a maternity shoot. I just love new age like parents.
They are. We have to document this stuff. So it's like, I needed the maternity shoot. This is what's gonna hang up in my child's room. Picture of her daddy and I in Greece in the wind. So and then you got to figure out, it's like, what theme do you want for the baby shower? There's all this stuff that I never knew about. Like, what do you mean, what theme? What colors do you want for the baby shower? Like, what? It's like, what colors do you want to do the room? What animal do you want to use? Like, come on, man. I literally wasted an hour of my life Googling like baby shower themes. And it's like sunflower theme, bee theme. I'm like, this is ridiculous. So we're on like a very tight timeline where we're like, okay, by this month we got to do this, by this time we got to do that, we got to get a registry. Right now it's, let's get the baby's room somewhat situated, like clear it out, and then figure out what we can fit so that we can put it on the registry, right? So that's kind of where we are now, just kind of making room for the baby.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's new. It's a lot. It's a whole nother job, but I'm trying to manage it.
Get used to it.
I know, right? I know. Pretty soon you're gonna see a baby behind here, and I'll be like, I'll get to you later. I'm working. All right, let's hop into what's in our feed. There's a lot going on. The internet was just in a shambles. I don't know what's happening. It's a lot. Let's start with Young Thug and Gunna indicted on RICO charges. This is such a big story because it literally involves 28 people in total. All of them inside of Young Thug's collective called YSL, which is a record label, according to him. But according to the district attorney in Fulton County in Georgia, they're saying that this is actually a gang, a street gang. And there's various members of this alleged gang that are indicted on various things, including weapons charges, robbery, racketeering, gang activity, murder, drug possession. Everybody has something different, right? I know with Gunna, he has specifically the RICO charge. Now, the reason why this is such big news is because there's a lot of rappers involved. One of the allegations is that Young Thug commissioned someone in his group to go and allegedly commit a murder against YFN Lucci in jail, another rapper. Mm-hmm. So somehow during the press conference, one of the reporters asked why Jack Harlow wasn't indicted or mentioned. I don't know what that's about, but it's literally adding to the salaciousness of the story. I think the bigger thing is the fact that even if, for example, Gunna is just on the RICO charge, even if you just have a RICO charge, because this falls under the RICO umbrella, all the district attorney really has to prove is that A, this is an organized crime unit, right? And then prove that in court. And then B, prove any of the charges. And just because it's RICO, someone can go to jail for something someone else in your group did. They created this for the mobsters, because what happened is in the mob, they had such a hierarchy in that crime organization that the bosses never did nothing. The people on the lower level did everything. So they created RICO, right? So that even if the person on the low level did something, if it comes as a part of this organized organization, the people at the top can be held accountable. This is crazy. I mean, I couldn't even believe what I'm reading. These guys are rappers. What is going on? What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, first, heart goes out to everybody that's involved. People have kids, people have family members. They were actively working as far as, some of them is musicians. So, their lives just changed in a second. Everything is alleged at the moment. So we don't know, what anyone did. I did see that apparently, the DA, they've had this, been tracking crimes. They said they committed 50 murders since 2015. And it's like, at what point do you just arrest people? Like, why even let it get to 50? Like, right. That's a joke, but that's dead serious too. It's like, so 4 wasn't enough to stop this at all. But I get it. That just means that they're trying to implicate somebody else bigger, whether that be someone, with a big name, like, Young Thug. I'm not sure as far as the gang, who knows if that's a gang. Everything is seems like a gang at this point. If it's enough people saying the exact same thing or that has a chain, that can be labeled as that, So, all of their lawyers, they have their work cut out for them as far as just proving their innocence. Because like you said, Mina, it's more so the I in RICO means influence. Did you influence people to do something? And that could be one little thing. And that one little thing could get everybody in trouble. And that's the same thing that happened in the 6ix9ine case. So I think that that's very interesting as well. Everybody, gave, 6ix9ine hell for, turning into an informant and, speaking on the people that he was actually in the gang with. Now it puts the onus on, I guess, the people that we consider to be real gangsters or whatever the case may be. Now you may be facing 40 or 50 years of your life for something you had absolutely nothing to do with, right. So now the tables turn, we get to see what's going on. And when the FBI comes, when the feds come, usually they have a very high conviction rate. So they just don't show up to your door for absolutely no reason. That mean that they have compiled a case against you where, at the bare minimum, you're going to take a plea. So to just see where it's at right now, it doesn't look good. Everything's alleged at the moment, but it doesn't look good, and it's a very high profile case. Like you said, it's a lot of rappers, and they have a lot of fans. So many people enjoy their music. Young Thug, Gunner, even somebody as far as like Wife and Lucci, who's been in jail for a whole separate thing. But yeah, it should be interesting just to see how everything turns out, and I just wish the best for all parties involved, the people that are in it, and then the people that that the families that may have lost lives due to some of the stuff that's going on. So that's my take on it.
I was just going to say, I mean, and I know you said at the beginning, why wait till 50, but it's kind of what Mina alluded to with the mob. Most of these cases, they want it to stick. They don't want it, if it's circumstantial, although they might know they're all tied, they want their hard evidence so they can slap something like a RICO charge on you. I just think it's crazy because, again, although it's a lot more rappers involved in this one, this is also something that we've been seeing over the last few years with a lot of rappers and their associates, is this, the Fed slapping these type charges of these organizations being run like that. So I also think, for the rappers that might be involved and, these alleged organized crime groups, y'all might want to be careful, because just because they haven't come and got y'all yet, it doesn't mean that they not sitting around not trying to build that case, because clearly this was like nothing. I mean, I think I had heard of somebody's baby mom or something got killed a month or two ago, and they were saying how this was connected to these two rap groups that are battling each other, and they kind of alluded to there was a bigger picture, but it was very vague in the illusion. It was more like the local news reporters in Atlanta reporting it more than the police were. So
it's Moneybagg Yo.
Yes, Moneybagg Yo. I couldn't remember who it was. And that's what they were alluding to at that point, that, this was tied into a larger organized crime thing, with rappers. But I just think it's crazy. I hope it works out for everybody, but like you said, Garnett, I don't know. They don't come for you with those RICO charges unless they know they have some stuff to keep you on there. So yeah. I don't know that anybody will be getting out anytime soon unless they pull a 6ix9ine. Then you might get out.
When you said somebody's baby mom, I immediately thought you were going to talk about Young Thug's baby mom, who was shot and killed in Atlanta. I believe it was either last
week or something. It was Moneybagg Yo's and then his.
But with his baby mom, she was killed in a bowling alley, and they said the fight was over a bowling ball. So if that was connected to this, it would make so much more sense to me, only because somebody fighting over a bowling ball and losing their life over that is just insane to me.
Right.
But outside of that, with this, like, I don't know, I don't really have any like solid thoughts on it. So like for me, it's kind of one of those things where it's just like, I'm not saying I'm hoping for the best, because I don't even know what that means in this situation. Because if you were killing someone, or if you knew your friends were doing that stuff, like, you gotta, that whole do the crime, you pay the time type of situation. But like, I think that my biggest thing with this is looking at social media, how like people immediately went to their defense. They didn't do this, and they're after them. And it's just kind of like, guys, maybe let's let it play out for a little bit. Like, just like, I don't know, like pump the brakes a little bit. Cause it like this lit the internet on fire. And I honestly, I don't think those kind of things help in these situations. I think it just kind of causes more confusion, because now everybody is writing what RICO charges mean. And it's just like, it just, for me, it just becomes a lot. Like, and it's kind of very confusing. I really don't even know what to think, to be honest with you. And then also, like, I don't know where this is going to go. So I just like to kind of like sit back on this one and just like see how it plays out.
I just think in general, a lot of these rappers are in neighborhoods that are not the safest. And what happens is you form relationships with certain people in the neighborhoods for protection, really, I mean, we've heard of rappers paying certain people for protection to, usher them into certain places, certain clubs, I mean, they're making rap music, so it's like some of the areas where they're performing, there, you don't want to get robbed, or you don't want to head into a situation where your life is literally in danger. So it's like, you're a rapper, you have money, that makes you a target sometimes. So a lot of the times these rappers form these alliances or have certain relationships with people in the neighborhood that might not have the best occupation, or the best reputation, but they're there for protection. But so you form these even if you go to jail.
Right.
I mean, how many rappers are, Kodak Black, YFN Lucci, they're going to jail for stuff, and they're forming these relationships with people who might be in a gang or might. So there's like so much crossover sometimes. And I feel like it really sometimes puts people in a situation where they can get in trouble with the law just because of that affiliation. And that's really what this is about, affiliation, right? Because they're saying that YSL is tied to a larger blood group, right? I don't know that. We don't know that. I always thought of YSL as a music group. I don't know what's going on.
I thought it was the cologne. I got
You thought it was the purse?
Look, no, everybody was talking about YSL. I was like that. I was like, this is the one cologne that I love, and everybody else wants to have the same cologne as me. Like,
hey, Dex, something wrong with you, but that's great timing. Thank you. We needed that.
With that being said, though,
they talking about the label, like the clothing label.
Yeah.
Like, why would you talk about?
But now, with that being said, though, there are certain things that like certain people just would not be involved in. Like for me, when I think of YSL, I genuinely think of the cologne. If charges like this were happening, it wouldn't happen to me. You get what I'm saying? Like there are certain people, kind of like what Mina was saying, that are involved and around certain people, and like you kind of bring this on yourself. Like what these people are doing. Like it's not like a shock to you that this is happening. So like,
yeah, but it's almost like what my mother used to tell me, like, you be careful who you hang around with, because you might be like, bought into what they're doing. But I used to tell my mom, I'm like, but if I'm not doing it, why should I be worried? Like, let them do what they do. But the problem is the RICO charges, right?
You might just get hit with the RICO.
Right. So when you get hit with the RICO, you can't even say that anymore. Like, okay, he's a human being. He's entitled to do whatever he wants. Doesn't mean I need to be responsible for that. But these are RICO charges.
Yes.
And sometimes with some of them, they will bring them in on it knowing that, you low man on the totem pole, or you really haven't had that much affiliation, but you might be able to link them to one thing.
Absolutely. Something.
And, for the higher ups in court. So they going to bring you on in on them because they can legally.
And I think that was the Tekashi portion of it. Like they knew Tekashi wasn't out there doing it, but he knew who was. And that's why they brought him in.
Yep. Now, I also think it's also, we got to take a look at our culture as well. And not to say that this is a good thing that is good for the culture, because it may force us to shift. But, I think they've been giving us warnings this whole time. So when this gang stuff did get really popular, I don't know if it was because of Lil Wayne or Dipset, or it was just a lot going on during that time, growing up, where they were blood affiliated and having a lot of rags,
With Snoop too, even before.
Whatever.
You're right. But I don't think that they made the whole world want to do it. It just was more of a West Coast thing.
They were probably doing it. They weren't. A lot of them weren't involved in the rat game. Like you have your Black Mafia family and them that started realizing I can take this money and put it towards, this entertainment kind of field.
Yeah. I'm just saying, it's, and I don't know if it was Jim Jones, but it was one of the older statesmen with the hip hop that was like, hey, you might want to be careful about what you say out loud. Even saying certain words like brazy instead of crazy, that says something to the people that's listening. It's influence. Having a certain amount of people around you. Look what happened with Bobby Schmurder and GS9. Like that was considered a gang as well.
Right.
So it's so many different things that this isn't the first one. I think this is the first high profile rapper that's been in it for an extensive period of time. So, you know, he's been in it for as far as the entertainment industry for years, referring to Young Thug. Like, this isn't somebody that's new, fresh off the street. It's like, no, like he had a chance to really change his life in a sense, you know, and all of this is a legend, but it's given a timeline where, you know, he had 10 years to try to get out of that situation and do other things. So, I mean, more than anything, whether, you know, everybody's innocent or guilty, don't know. I think that people need to wake up and be conscious about what's actually happening. You know, you showing up in videos with 40 other people. Oh, yeah, you may not be the one doing it, but the person next to you that we've been looking for the whole time. And all I need you to do is give him rent money. Give him $5,000 and I can connect you to him, please. Please.
Yeah.
Like,
or let him be in the video.
Yep. And this is the last time I'm gonna say, one person I'm afraid of, and you know, I'm afraid that this is gonna happen too, because someone else spoke on this too, where they expressed their fears, and it kind of made sense for what everything is going on in Chicago, man. Is Little Dirk. You know, like he's around a lot of madness, like a lot. At least his name is. And I think that's another person they would just love to have in an indictment, whether he did something or not. So, you know, it's they're going to be looking for more stuff like this. So, I mean, I hope it bodes well for, you know, the people that are actually innocent. But, you know, the culture, we got to be on the lookout for this to happen and to clean up the image a little bit more.
Yeah, but also remember when they did this to Deshaun Jackson? They tried to say he was like affiliated with a gang. I mean, I just think we live in a world where literally there's so much evidence, and that's what these prosecutors are using. And we'll get to this in a bit, but they're literally, even with the Tekashi thing, remember the guy that we had on our podcast that did his documentary? Yeah. All he needed to do was go online, do interviews. What did he find? He found interviews. He found social posts that he had put up, videos. That's all you need to tie people to people. Oh, I don't know that person. That person's not my friend. Okay, then why is that person in this video with you?
Why do you mention them in this song?
Right. Why is there an Instagram picture of y'all in the club? You know, like there's so much evidence, and that's why we're seeing it kind of ramp up a little bit. Before, it used to be more hush hush, like, okay, maybe Snoop would mention in a rap, you know, you kind of knew that there was some gang affiliations there, but where's the evidence? It can't just be rap lyrics, you know. You have to catch him doing stuff.
I said, they probably, the feds follow you on Instagram, watching your posts, and like you said, Mina, watching you in the club, your videos, your Snapchats.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, something else that lit the internet on fire was Danny Lay doing her interview with Angie Martinez about her relationship with the baby. She also released a song simultaneously called Dead to Me, where she literally says, "You're dead to me," and announced that she's releasing an album called My Side, which will tell her side of the story. Now, in this interview, there's a lot, but she maintains that she was not a side piece. She maintains that she was promised a real family with the baby, which is what drew her in. And she says that things went down. He was cheating, you know, and that he has never apologized and things have gone left and she's moving on.
Let me say this. I fully believe her. I 100% believe all that. I believe we saw how he was posting her. I don't believe he made her feel like she was a side piece, although it was a little evident he was still messing with, especially Mimi. You know, he made her feel like she was the one, and I believe he promised her the family and all of that. I don't know why, knowing him, that she would think she's going to get an apology, but I really, and I just feel mean. I'm not going to be checking for your album, though. That's all I got to say. I believe everything else, though, and I feel bad for her. But your album, I mean, I get it, but you can save it for me.
The song is good, though. Did y'all listen to the song? I'm like, okay, Daddy Lay.
You know, the last album is going to be about, I mean, it's just going to be really good, because sometimes that can go really left. You know, like Summer Walker tried it, but then she did have these other like little bouncy songs that I really actually didn't like. But I'm just saying, like, you just have to be very careful when you announce that that's what the album is going to be called, and then we're going to get like 10, 11, maybe 12 tracks that's dedicated to your relationship.
Yeah, I think the last Danny Lay song I heard was Yellowbone, where she talked about how she was so much better than brown-skinned women because of the color of her skin. And then I think people got upset about it. And I believe the word that she used was only God can cancel me. Well, you're wrong. The baby canceled you. Dexter canceled you. I could care less about this girl. I don't know why Angie wasted her time sitting there talking to this woman. The baby's response to it was so much better than hers. Like, I'm team the baby on this one, which is saying a lot. I just could care less about anything that this girl has to say. And if somebody promised you all these things, why didn't he marry you? If he wanted you that bad, why didn't he propose to you? Like, why are you just this? You were just living in his house and you had his baby and you were a side chick. You're going to remain a side chick and you're not going to sell any albums.
Wow.
Damn, that's harsh.
Damn.
And your brother got beat up.
Thanks, man. I was just about to pick her up. Listen, Dan, if when you listen to this, just know, you know, I would never make you feel like a side chick.
No, because watch, Mina's gonna have her on the show next week. I'm not gonna come. I'm not gonna be here.
Listen,
I think everybody has the chance to tell their side, you know, and I think she's been portrayed in a very negative light. Imagine you breastfeeding your child and the father of your child goes live while he calls the cops on you. Like, that is the most bizarre. And I get what you're saying, Dexter, and I think she really ruffled people's feathers with that. Yeah. But still, like, as a human, it's almost like that Kevin Samuels thing, right? Where we'll get to that, but it's like, okay, he wasn't my favorite person, but I'm not going to rejoice in his death. Again, I think she's made some missteps, but I don't think she deserves the treatment that she received being a new mother and having to deal with such a public humiliation.
So to deal with public humiliation, you decide to go do a radio interview and then release an album talking about said humiliation? Come on.
Child, Beyonce did it. And and everybody, they say it's one of the greatest albums of all time.
We wanted that from Beyonce. And again, it was tailored correctly. I don't know that Danny Lay got the budget and the writers for that. That's all I'm saying.
I'm just saying she has the right to tell her story, her side, in whatever way she wants to, because she's been publicly humiliated. Her brother's been publicly humiliated and beat up. I mean, people have the right to tell their side. It's funny, when I was listening to the baby, he's like, well, you're late on this and you should have done it right after. Like, what? It's like when people are like, you did this too late, or why didn't you come forward earlier? Or, I was like, who are you to tell me when I need to come forward about my truth?
You're true. Oh my God.
And that's her truth, Dex. Like, whether you like her or not.
We saw it on the live. Like,
but it's her truth.
We saw it. We saw it all go down. Like, we literally, it's kind of like Saturday Night Live. If something happened on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we expected to see it on this weekend, Saturday Night Live. You can't come 2 weeks later and give us the Chris Rock.
You got the budget and the team to be releasing no album 2 weeks later. That took some time.
You should have just did your Instagram post or what.
Or maybe she wasn't ready to publicly discuss. You have to go through the motions. Maybe she had postpartum. Yeah, I don't know.
That would send you into postpartum.
Like, I don't know. She has the right to tell it. Girl, this album better be good because you announced it.
It better come out.
All right. So Kevin Samuels. Mm-hmm. This blew up the internet. This man is not my favorite man. I have to be fully transparent. I've tried to watch his YouTube thing. I just can't get through it sometimes. It's like, just sometimes I'm listening and I'm like, who raised you? Like, who put these ideas in your head? So I can't get through it, right? But he passed away. The circumstances surrounding his death are sketchy because he was with a woman. And the woman did call 911, ironically. So there's a whole nother conspiracy theory about that. But I was more so surprised at how many people were rejoicing in his death, which again, to me, a lot of the things he said sounded real ignorant and just misogynistic, right? But I'm not gonna be like, well, that's what you get for saying all them things about us, or putting this toxic masculinity out there. That's what you get, that karma, which is what I've been hearing. Do you think when people pass away, especially someone as polarizing and controversial as him, do you think it's okay for people to voice, well, we're in I can't even think of the right way to say it, but okay, well, we're not going to miss that person.
Well, before y'all answer this, I just want y'all to know that at some point or another, Donald Trump is going to pass away. Now you guys have the floor.
Yeah, listen, and Dex, you hit the nail right on the head. I'm actually going to quote Nas on this. Not like it's a summary of it. It's from one of his raps, but basically he said, "Time is undefeated, the internet is undefeated, and then the third one, this rhyme that he's speaking is undefeated." So we at number 2, right? The internet is just undefeated. Like, I don't know why we expect anything, because it's really the wild, wild west. So I'm not surprised that, the internet, there were people celebrating it. I'm not surprised at it at all. And eventually it'll go to, like, to what Dexter's saying, to other people that we may quote unquote dislike, and, people may celebrate it. I don't think it's right? That's me. I won't tweet something that, oh, this person, harmed me with his words, so I'm going to say that's what he gets. Like, people was blaming karma off of how they personally felt about something that doesn't even add up. It's like, it's your perspective off of what he said. God did not strike him down because he made you upset. Like, stop. You're not that important in this whole grand scheme of things. Like, he didn't do that because of you. But even I wasn't necessarily a huge fan or even against him. I just didn't take that much time to go out and listen to him on certain things. One of my best friends, he didn't, I wouldn't say lived by his videos, but if you talk to him, he learned a lot on how to do certain things that he necessarily didn't know. I didn't find his videos.
Kevin Samuels?
Yes. So I mean, he also spoke more about different things.
But Garnett, you might get hit with the RICO.
Well, listen, no, you got.
What could you possibly learn from Kevin Samuels?
Outside of the relationship stuff, right? He talks about what fragrances men should wear.
Who is Kevin Samuels to tell you what fragrance to wear? What is happening here?
Who is anybody on the internet to start up, something? Listen, did he just curse? No, listen, I'm just giving you a heads up. I mean, who is anybody on the internet as far as YouTube goes? Everybody's starting out in their bedroom. Who are they?
Yeah, you're going to jail. I cannot wait to go to jail. You are going to jail. Like, you are going to jail.
Listen, he talks about that. He talks about, what ties go with certain shirts. He talks about, men getting dressed up. Now, this isn't going on with the relationship stuff. I'm talking about more so, hey, look, a how-to. And it's so many people on YouTube that we go to right now. You could be like, man, I don't know how to make this meal. I'm going to go on YouTube. How to make pasta. Who the hell is that person?
That's a little different.
What's the difference between that and alone? What's the difference?
Men are fairly simple, though, because actually, I kind of understand where Garnett is coming from, because Donald Trump, you know how people feel about him. Donald Trump is the same man who tells you what hotels to stay in. He tells you what ties to wear. He tells you what steaks to eat. Like, he does have stuff that people listen to or whatever. I not for me, though. It's just kind of like, I just have a little bit more like level-headedness than just to some people that it's just like, I can't. I like whatever. Like, okay, I may like what this person has on. I can take that from them. But to actually sit up and listen to it, knowing that they have so much, I guess, hate speech or whatever, like, it's that part is a little difficult for me to grasp. I think Kevin Samuels, I found him entertaining. I thought the stuff that he would say was funny, but like I realized after he passed that there was a lot of people, men and women, who took what he said to heart, and like that's kind of problematic to me. Like, and that's why those people were so hurt, and like there were guys who were praying and like, they were hurt by this man dying. I mean, you would think it was like Kobe Bryant or something. That's how crazy it was, some of these posts. And then there were women who were like rejoicing. You would think it was like, I don't know, like Don Imers or something like that. Like they were so happy that this man was out of here. But with this, it's either, I don't know who said this. It was either Jesus or Vin Diesel. But one of them said that when you live by the sword, you die by the sword.
Jesus
So Kevin,
didn't say that. Okay.
One of them. One of
That
them.
wasn't Jesus.
Hold on, what was it like random? Why
one of them said it.
Why
I don't know if it was Vin Diesel or Jesus, but one of them said that. Like you live by the sword and die by the sword.
Fast and Furious, he wasn't that poetic in Fast and Furious. Damn.
but with that being said, though, it's kind of like one of those things. Like I don't even think Kevin Samuels will be that offended by people doing this and people saying that and stuff like that. I really don't, only because like you know the type of personality that you have, you know what kind of emotions you bring out of people. So it's, for us, it may be a little jarring to see that. For him, I think he'd be like, cool, I left my mark. And that's what he did. He left his mark. And the more these people are talking about it, the more it shows that he left his mark. So
that's very true. I mean, I was never a fan nor followed the stuff. Obviously, you know, when the hype of his relationship stuff happened, people would send, but I couldn't even get through a few minutes of it to tell you whether he talked about cologne, ups, down, stock markets, or not, because he just was not for me. But the one thing that did make me laugh when people said, this is karma, I gotta laugh like, y'all know we all gonna die one day, right?
Right.
As if we're gonna be the ones living, and Kevin Samuels, though, is the one that died. I'm like, we all got a day, we just don't know when it is.
right.
I think it's the circumstances of the death too. Like he was literally with a woman and died.
Well,
and
with the woman had me by surprise, just period. But anyway, I do think it was like when I was like trying to look it up because I saw like, I don't know, some posts. There were just so many, to your point, that I was like, wow, I've never seen people really, really rejoice like that over someone's death. I couldn't even really recall a time. Now, granted, the internet and social, just like everything else we talked about tonight, has amplified things, as Garnett said, the Wild Wild West. But I really couldn't even remember a time that I saw people like celebrate somebody's death. So that was kind of like, wow. Like, I don't even think like, and maybe because, do we have Instagram now? We did have Instagram now. It wasn't popping up. Like, I mean, like Saddam Hussein died. I didn't even see people like, yo, yes, he out of here. Like, you know, it just was like, it was a little bit jarring to see where we are as humans. Like, again, I wouldn't say anything. I wouldn't put anything out there because he wouldn't be able to get that out of me, to Dexter's point. Like, you're not going to get the, oh, Kevin Samuels is ignorant, I'm not posting that, nor am I posting about your death. You know, because he does have a family and those things. And, you know, I just don't think anyone's death, an untimely death, should be celebrated.
And you spoke on something too. I think you're absolutely right as far as, you know, it's weird to see people speaking out because usually there are people that will fake care. Yes. Like we're usually on the side of fake caring. These people were not fake caring. Like there was
when DMX died, all of a sudden you had all these DMX fans, and I was like,
right. Like
look, everybody had a picture of DMX when they randomly ran the grocery store.
Like, did you listen to Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood? Because if you did it,
it was like I said, that's a great point. There were a few people that I saw that actually tweeted, "I don't care either way." Like I didn't like what he said,
what's the point?
I didn't care.
I don't get it. Weird times. So I want to talk about, you know, song lyrics and using that. So we all have, you know, the freedom of speech, but your freedom gets curbed when you're doing a crime. Okay. And during the press conference by the district attorney in regards to the Young Thug RICO case, it was asked, are you going to be using song lyrics? Are you going to be using social media? The district attorney said, yes. While I respect the First Amendment, a crime was committed So this is not the first time we've had this conversation. I don't remember if we had this conversation off the pod or on the pod, but I know when we were talking about it, it was a very spirited conversation, because it's like, should you be able to use song lyrics to literally build a case, and tweets and social media to build a whole case around someone, when we know a lot of things on social media are not real? It's a facade, it's fake. And a lot of these rappers are not rapping about the life that they're living. So you over here talking about I'm selling drugs. When's the last time you sold drugs? Like Pusha T stay rapping about some cocaine. Pusha T, when is the last time you sold cocaine, sir? Right. And I love Pusha T, right? But as the president of good music, I highly doubt that he is actively selling cocaine, right? But there's music because that was a part of his previous life. So should things like this be able to be used in the court of law? Is it fair?
I think it's super fair. I think it puts the onus on the writers of this music to where do you draw the line on what's real and what's fake? Like, you're telling on yourself at this point. You can still keep it real without giving up all the tapes. You know, like you can still have some realness in it without it, you know, you saying the person that you committed the crime with's name. Like literally, what's Bobby Smurder famous line? Such and such caught a body the other day. Huh? Like, or like you could have just said somebody caught a body yesterday. Like somebody,
or the baby, when the baby talked about shooting that guy at Walmart or whatever.
But he was cleared off of that. But yeah, that's something like, yeah, people will try to bring that up, but that's something he was cleared off of, and he was found.
He was murder. He was cleared with the charge he was charged for. It was a charge for murder. Sorry, go ahead.
Right. But yeah, so you gotta look at it. They only do this with people that are actually doing it. To your point, Mina, like, yeah, Pusha T is probably so far away from the white stuff that it doesn't even matter. Yeah, he could talk about anything. He could create a world of anything. Jay-Z talk about old stuff, but he is so far removed from that he's able to say these things. But legally, you know, he can get specific after the statute of limitation, you know, legally. But he can still talk about it, but he's no longer living that life. And I think that's where, as an artist, you have to draw the line for yourself, you know, because it's you saying this. You can't be mad at them if you're saying what you and your homies did on the block yesterday. How? Because J. Cole is saying some real stuff too, but he's not doing that. Like, he's still keeping it real. He's still saying real life activities. Drake's still saying real life activities, but it's not that. It's not incriminating things. Unless you want to talk about cheating, I guess, you know, Drake always talking about him and another girl. Okay, so what? The feds isn't gonna run down on you on that. So I think as a culture, we have to protect yourself. Don't have these laws try to protect you, because it's not made to protect you at the end of the day. Clearly. Stop saying too much. Say just enough, and then leave it alone.
Do you think urban music would be compelling if they did? Like, yeah. Do you think that the only reason I asked that question, because you answered a little fast. The only reason I asked that is because, like, we've been doing this since like the beginning of time. Like every rapper does this. They all talk about murder and street life or whatever, and that's the reason why it's been.
Not all rappers do that.
I was just about to say, but to your point about like Jay-Z and even a Nas, when they do it, they do reference it in the past tense. So Dex, it is still them saying it in urban music, but they don't say it in the sense of I'm doing this right now. You know what I mean?
But like I was saying, this is something that our culture, urban music, was built on. Like, and obviously not every single person is going to do it, but the majority do it. So it's safer to say that, like, we do it more than we don't do it. So, like, because that's a thing, and because that's been proven to be successful, do you really think that if these, because like there's new rappers that are coming out and doing it. So new rappers are talking about the same exact thing that people 30 years, 50 years ago were talking about. I just feel like that's so much so a part of the culture that if they tried to change it up, people wouldn't be interested. And that's the reason why I think that these people consistently do that. I think the culture, like you said earlier, Garnett, needs to be shifted and needs to be changed. And it really needs to be looked at because like we're putting our rappers behind bars. Sure, they may be doing this stuff or whatever, but like we're encouraging it too.
Okay, I'm not putting them behind bars because I don't even know what they be talking about in these songs. Like at least when Jay-Z and them was saying that, I was very clear. I was very clear on what Young Jeezy was saying. I don't know what they talk about in these songs to know whether they talk about a crime, a TV show, a clothing accessory. I don't even know. A car. I can't tell by the way that they rap. But I will say, when you said, Mina, should it be able to happen, I think to your point, Dex, for years, it's been something that's come up. If we look back 20, 25 years ago with Dolores Tucker, challenging Tupac and the things that he was saying in his lyrics and trying to bring that up on the Hill, it's not a surprise that this is something that they tried to help. There's been murder trials. Well, they'll say, listen, the kids were listening to a Snoop Dogg song before, they committed this murder. So again, I don't know, to the question, should it happen? It's been happening. And just like anything else, yes, there's freedom of speech, but you don't have to put everything out there. So Dex, to your point, maybe as a rapper, you feel like you have to, but you don't have to put everything out there, then it won't be held against you. I'm not going to be putting out nothing that talk about something illegal I did, whether it be in a social post, as a joke, as a poem, because I know it can be held against me. Just like I wouldn't put out a nude picture or something scantily clad because it can be held against me. So there is this thing where, yes, you're an artist in your art, but when you're putting it out there for the world to see and consume, just know it could be used against you. Good, bad, or indifferent, even if it's in the court of public opinion.
And let me, my bad, Mina, let me get the quote right from Bobby Shmurda. He said, Mitch caught a body about a week ago. How do you think Mitch felt when he heard that? It's like, are you serious?
Mitch is like, why you gotta snitch on me, man?
For what? Like,
you know what though? I think it needs to be balance, right? I mean, it's one thing to put up a picture of your drugs, right?
Which is terrible too, but
right, like massive drugs, right? But it's another thing to put it up, talk about your drugs in a song lyric, right? Because one of them is entertainment purposes. So it's like, I think that there needs to be a balance. I think that if prosecutors and district attorneys are going to use this stuff, they need to have actual concrete evidence in addition to that. It's a slippery, scary slope when we start allowing people to just use social media, or to close cases, because a lot of that stuff is fake, or it may not even be your picture. You might just be trying to show off, or and again, I agree with what you guys are saying. Like, yeah, you got to be careful about what you put out there. You got to be more protective if you're doing something. Like, I'm not gonna go shoplift and then tell people I shoplifted. Like, I got to keep that to the chest, so people don't find out. But so I do think it's a bit of stupidity of like, okay, you just telling everybody your business. But I also think that on when it comes to the law, we have to be careful about allowing things like this to put people away for life, for long periods of time. Like, you put me in jail because of an Instagram picture.
But maybe it's being used, to your point, with the evidence. So maybe
that's what I'm saying. I get worried if you're just going to use that and you have no other evidence. I think it's a slippery slope because we're going to be in a situation where they're putting people away off of having no evidence, just because they're using social media or things that are sometimes frivolous. I'm not saying that the stuff, everything is a lie, but obviously it depends on every specific case. Right. If we're we're saying that you're drug trafficking and you put up a picture of all these drugs that there's no way that you can consume yourself, then maybe A and B do make C, do connect to C, or 1 + 2 is 3. All right. But if I said something in a song lyric, I could have had a ghostwriter. I could have been Quentin Miller could have written my song. My boy that is about that life could have contributed in a writing session. Like, come on, man.
And
It's
I
a
agree with
slippery
you on that.
slope, man. You
I
have
agree
to
with you
have
on that.
concrete evidence before you take people's lives away and put them in jail.
I think they're only going to use it to match up with the evidence. I think if it was circumstantial, it is just like a guess. I don't think they're going to use it. But if there's like a day where they can show there was a money laundering transaction, and then you went on Instagram and did the challenge and put all this money up, I think like the connecting of the dots. I don't think they'll use it if it's just like, oh, he lives a lavish lifestyle and da 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 da. I think it's only going to be used when it's like to back up this, like you said, 1+2. Like, okay, I can show you how we got the 3 because we have this one over here, and then boom, let's match it up with these 2 things we have from social media and this lyric, because he's going to say he doesn't know this person, but he mentioned them clearly in this song, and we have this picture of him passing him in the club.
Right, and I agree with exactly what you're saying. But we got to realize too, the crime is coming first, not the lyrics. We're only looking at the lyrics because you did some crimes. Because they're not at Quentin Miller's door. They're not at J. Cole's door. They're not at Jay's. They're at none of these people's door. They're at the people that may have retired yesterday, but that's too close, bro. Like whether you 1 foot in, 1 foot out, they're at your door. Those are the doors that they're knocking. And then yes, they're using that as evidence, which they do that in different circumstances, right? Because it's all just to paint the picture, and that's what we have to realize as our generation, our culture, is that if you are actively doing it, man, you better off just rapping like J. Cole. Like it's no point of even like getting around it. Like you better off.
Why do you say better off? Why do you say better off rapping like J. Cole? Like, why did you use that as a reference?
Well, because I'm actually a huge J. Cole fan.
Right. But there was a reason you used him as a reference. Why is that?
Because he talks about what's happening real in his life for like college.
And he's not as big and popular as some of these ones who are talking about the street life, right? That's all I was saying. I just want to prove my point.
I won't say that because at that point I can use Drake as a reference. That's somebody who isn't Jay-Z. Like they're not into that.
Drake is on a song called Rico, and I gotta look into him a little bit more too.
And look, he's probably saying some stuff he's never done before. He may not have. Matter of fact, no, that's the verse he didn't write.
He didn't write a lot of them. So
and I know that was the verse, that was the song that got me pissed off. It was
right,
that one. It was. So it's like, and Quentin Miller ain't get him in trouble, but even if they wanted to check it out, well, one, he didn't write it, but two,
I guess the strategy is if you're actively breaking the law, do not allude to it, and then allude to it after the fact, after the statute of limitation has expired. But you can't get locked up for it.
Think about that in the same reference as somebody like O.J. Simpson and R. Kelly, after all their stuff is done and they start making songs and making a book, If I Did It. That kind of stuff is like, it's sick. Like we can't keep excusing that kind of activity. Imagine Britney Spears singing about, I don't know, so what the hell does she be talking about?
I don't know. She's naked on the gram all the time. She don't do much talking. All I see is body parts.
And that's another thing too. Even go to what drill rap is, like the Chicago rap. It's literally made to talk about what you just did to your opponents, your ops. And there are people that died, and you're literally dissing them in a song. Like as a mother, as a brother, as a sister, as somebody that's related to that person that just passed away, you're screaming their name. You may not have done it where, I'm smoking on such and such. It's like, which is a crazy thing to say. Yeah. But how would that even make you feel as somebody being on the other side, knowing that, you may not have done it personally, but you're in the same gang or group that had something to do with it. Yeah, it's a little crazy. And I know I know Jay-Z was ended up, he wanted to fight for not using lyrics in a song. And I get his standpoint, because his standpoint is, hey, look, you don't do this to country music. Well, are they actively into it is what I would say back to him. Because these kids, they into it. They not lying in a lot of their lyrics.
You know what? This reminds me of the Black China lawsuit. How
Mm.
she tried to say that Rob Kardashian did revenge porn on her, and they literally pulled up all her naked pictures from social media. And
See?
then they were like, how did he revenge porn on you when you literally revenge porned yourself? You literally put all of this out here on social media. All right, guys. That's the 220th episode of the Mina's House podcast. Thank you for listening. I'm Mina SayWhat.
I'm Shana B.
Garnett, Briscoe.
Stuckey.
Talk to you next week.